Hi everyone, very good morning to all of you. Welcome back to the PIB class. So today I'm going to cover 21st November PIBCA, and one more thing that we have the revised labor codes, right? So after discussing these news which are there for 21st November, I will be starting with the new labor codes. It would take time. It would take 1 or 2 classes to cover them because they are extensive, but I will start them today. Okay. So both of things we are going to cover today. Let's start with the first news. So it is regarding the World Television Day, connecting 230 million households across India. World Television Day 2025. So first of all, you need to remember the date here. November 21st. Remember, it is observed globally on 21st November each year, following the proclamation by United Nations General Assembly through a resolution adopted in 1996. So how do we celebrate it? There was a resolution adopted in UNGA in 1996, and then we are observing this as a World Television Day on every 21st of November. So remember the date first of all. Now, since we are talking about the World Television Day, so we will be discussing some important news and static and data related to the segment. So India's media and entertainment sector contributed 2.5 trillion rupees in the economy in 2024 and is projected to exceed 3 trillion rupees by 2027. It is projected to exceed 3 trillion rupees by 2027. So media and entertainment segment is, very lucrative for India. After that, television broadcasting, if you see, it began on an experimental basis on 15th September 1959, which was initiated by the All India Radio, remember, under the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Now, if you look at some educational initiatives of the Government of India via television, what kind of initiatives we have launched which can be accessed via television? So let's see one by one. First of all, we have Ministry of Education in coordination with the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and Prasar Bharati. They rapidly scaled up the televised learning solutions. So they started certain initiatives. First of all, you have PM E-Vidya initiative regarding that. What is PM E-Vidya program? Under this, they want to consolidate all the digital, online and broadcast based education resources. कि जितने भी ऐसे resources हैं, consolidate them onto one platform. It was launched to unify and streamline all the digital and broadcast based resources so that you can get everything at one point, right, on a single portal. And one of the very important initiative under this is One Class, One Channel scheme. One class, one channel. You can get all the resources available online or digitally on this platform. So one class, one channel. It was introduced, it introduced 12 dedicated DTH television channels from class 1 to 12 through Swayam Prabha platform. Swayam Prabha platform आपने सुना ही होगा. So via this Swayam Prabha platform, they brought 12 such dedicated DTH channels. DTH channels 12 hai. So first to 12th class are covered. For each class, you get all the resources at a single platform via the Swayam Prabha platform. And they deliver all these things related to NCERT curriculum. यहाँ पर सारे resources का जो material है वो integrated है, like स्वयं, दीक्षा, NCERT, etc. After that, what is this Swayam Prabha educational channel? So complementing this PM E-Vidya, Swayam Prabha initiative operates a set of high quality educational TV channels that broadcast curriculum based content 24/7 through GSET satellite. तो Swayam Prabha portal क्या है, Swayam Prabha initiative क्या है? High quality educational TV channel है जो आपको satellite use करके 24/7 GSET satellites use करके curriculum based content broadcast करता है. And of course, it is a DTH channel, so it is more accessible and affordable as well, right? All right. So next thing which we have is regarding Ministry of Fisheries. So Fisheries has been in news continuously. You have to remember the record which we have recently crossed in terms of fisheries production, also the ranking which India has. So India unveils national framework on traceability in fisheries and aquaculture 2025. This is coming from Department of Fisheries under the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, releasing the national framework on traceability in fisheries and aquaculture and unveiling several key initiatives. So what are the key initiatives under this? There is a proper SOP for mariculture, SOP on development and management of smart and integrated fishing harbors, SOP on development of minimum basic infrastructure, guidelines for reservoir fisheries management. So basically they want to monitor, they want to give a proper SOP, how do we operate into this, because it is a very prosperous and very promising segment which is growing in India and also providing a lot of employment opportunities, right? So this is kind of an initiative to monitor and trace the entire segment. Now related to it, we have World Fisheries Day observed on 21st November. So 21st November we have the World Fisheries Day as well. What is the theme for 2025? The theme for this year is India's blue transformation, strengthening value addition in seafood exports. India's blue transformation, strengthening value addition in seafood exports. Now, certain highlights regarding the fish production. So, second largest country we are in terms of fish production and one of the largest shrimp producers in the world. Shrimp एक बहुत important seafood है, आपको पता है. Also is a very important feedstock, right, for the fisheries. So shrimp production mein we are one of the largest, but in terms of fish producing country we have a rank of second, right? So we are second largest in this regard. Then India's fish production has more than doubled up from 96 lakh tons in 2013-14 to 195 lakh tons in 24-25. So we have crossed this 195 lakh tons mark actually. Remember this figure as well. We have discussed this thing in the CA quite number of times. Also regarding the latest GST rate cut, the GST on fish products, key fish products has been reduced from 12% to 5% now, making it very important decision in terms of placing India, in the global supply chain, making our country competitive, making the products competitive in the global value chain. क्योंकि अगर आपको competitive बनना, you have to be competitive in terms of price as well, right? And there's the target which we have that we are targeting 1 lakh crores in seafood exports by 2030. So by 2030, we want to have 1 lakh crores in seafood exports. And since we're talking about fisheries, so let's see some other features of this national framework on traceability in fisheries and aquaculture. It has been developed under Pradhan Mantri Matsya किसान समृद्धि सह योजना. तो आपको ये ध्यान रखना है, comes under which ministry and comes under which scheme. अब इसका aim क्या है? We should have a digital traceability system which can actually track, which can monitor and which can guide the quality, food safety and sustainability of fish and fish related or aquaculture related products in the national as well as global market, so that we also comply with the international standards. For example, WTO, अगर आपने पढ़ा है, World Trade Organization, WTO has this SPS measures. Sanitary and phytosanitary measures, right? Lot of products from India, including fisheries, non-veg products, right? They get rejected in lot of countries or they face a backlash on SPS. Because we are unable to, on some products I'm saying, we are sometimes unable to deliver the same promising quality. So we have to meet all these standards like SPS and all, sanitary and phytosanitary measures. So we are working regarding that. Also entering European market, it requires a very high quality of the product. But how do we trace that? We have blockchain, IoT, QR codes, GPS. इन सब का यूज करके we will be able to trace that. So we will track them in real time, tracking seafood products from farm to plate and catch to consumer. This is the tagline. We will be tracking it from farm to plate and catch to consumer. And context क्या है इसका? As I have told you, हम leading producer हैं. We are the second largest producer, but still it requires a lot of effort. We are still not able to enter into the big markets so easily, right? So the global growth or our presence in the global value chain is very fragmented. We need to diversify the export venues, plus also we need to capture the bigger markets, right? So India is the leading fish producer here. But traceability practices are fragmented and inconsistent, also compromises on the quality sometimes, as I told you. So we want to develop a unified digital traceability system so that we can promote regulations and compliance of all these regulations, also food safety and security. After that, what challenges do we have? Still, we have some infrastructure and technology gaps, particularly for the small scale fisheries and those people who are operating at a small scale. Then we have policy support. Policy support, the framework aligns with the national initiatives. So policy support भी हम यहाँ पर provide करा रहे हैं. I told you that it comes under these kind of schemes. So proper policy support is being provided to deal with all the challenges. It would be implemented in a phased manner. It is not one-time implementation. In a phased manner, gradually it would be implemented for effective implementation. Also, the system, the framework will use critical tracking events and key data elements to ensure end-to-end tracking of fish and aquaculture product. The proper tracking की जाएगी of aquaculture and fish products. That is a very used thing. And कौन सी technology use करेंगे? So they will be using the latest technologies or the state-of-the-art technologies like blockchain, Internet of Things, QR codes, GPS, then cloud-based infrastructure. All of them will be deployed to track all such products. And what would be the institutional framework for it? It would be multi-tiered. There will be multi-tiered, it would be multi-layered. We will have national level committee, we will have adoption committee, we will have state level or UT level fisheries departments, field level institutions. They will all be coordinating and implementing the entire framework. Also, we are never ignoring cyber security, data ownership, right? So transparency would be maintained, data will be secured, data ownership will be there, cyber security will be there. Training programs, awareness campaigns, field support will be provided so that people can become familiar with the framework, those who are involved. It would be implemented into 6 phases, remember. How many? 6 phases. Starting with policy formulation, IT system development, etc. And then monitoring and compliance will come later. One more thing. The World Bank has appreciated the document, noting that it comprehensively addresses all aspects of traceability. So World Bank has also lauded this effort and they recommended that a centralized traceability system is needed to be integrated into this, particularly if the framework is to be incorporated under the bigger scheme, जो अभी हमने discuss की, प्रधानमंत्री मत्स्य योजना. So this was about certain news which were there for 21st November. Now I am going to discuss with you the labor codes, the revised labor codes. It is very comprehensive, much needed. It is going to provide, आपके जो labor codes हैं, they are going to provide security, they are going to provide gender equality, they are going to provide security and formalization and social security benefits to all the workers, which were earlier restricted to permanent workers, but now fixed term workers, gig workers, platform workers, aggregators, they will also get it, right? So it is very important and a welcome step. Let's see what are the revised labor codes. And there are certain important facts for the exam as well. Yes, of course, important. Just a second. All right. So first of all, the government has consolidated 29 labor laws into 4 comprehensive labor codes. ठीक है, पहले जो बहुत सारे labor laws थे, now we have consolidated them into 4 labor codes. Now these 4 labor codes are Code on Wages 2019, Industrial Relations Code 2020, Code on Social Security 2020, and Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020. These are the 4 codes. Remember, okay, these are the 4 codes, first of all. Now, among them, we will discuss them one by one. So, the Code on Wages 2019. The Code on Wages 2019 was notified on 8th of August 2019 and remaining 3 codes were notified on 29th September 2020. So, the earliest one was this and these 3 were later on notified on 29th September 2020. बहुत सारे लेबर कोड्स होने की वजह से देयर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन द कॉम्प्लायंस वाज डिफिकल्ट आल्सो वी नीडेड टू रिवाइज देम टू सूट टू द करंट labor market demand and supply. Also addressing a very long pending issue in India, which is formalization of the economy. Even before this labor code or even now, because now it's going to be implemented, so it would take time to get the result. You see, more than 80-85% of the economy is unorganized. So lack of social security benefits, lack of proper contracts, lack of proper formalized offer letters and jobs. So we want to bring social security net coverage for everyone, right? Does not matter you are a permanent employee, you are a freelancer, you are a gig worker, whatever. अब इसके की पिलर्स क्या हैं? What they want to ensure after this revision? Simplified compliance. Compliance easy हो जाएगा. You know that these are the 4 labor codes. So it would be easy to read them. It would be easy to go through them and also to comply with them. Next, streamlining enforcement. Implementing would become easier. Administrative cost भी थोड़ा सा save होगा. Modernizing outdated laws. Earlier laws were outdated. So we need to modernize, right? They need to change. Laws need to change accordingly with the time. Of course, and labor is at the core of India's growth. We're talking about labor, so we cannot skip the concept of demographic dividend. I hope you all know what is demographic dividend. Whenever we are talking about labor or labor laws or labor market in India, you cannot skip the concept of demographic dividend, right? Whenever you write answers as well. So talk about demographic dividend. What is this demographic dividend? It is a phase in which India is currently going through right now. So where you have maximum population in the working age group. जो हमारा वर्किंग एज ग्रुप है 15 से 54 या 60 आप बोल सकते हैं. वर्किंग एज ग्रुप में आपके पास मैक्सिमम पॉपुलेशन है एज कंपेयर टू अदर एज ग्रुप्स. सो व्हेन यू हैव मैक्सिमम पॉपुलेशन इन द वर्किंग एज ग्रुप, यू हैव एसेट्स, right? Because that population is not dependent population, it is working population. It is contributing to your growth. So by 2050, we have this thing for sure. By 2050, we are into demographic dividend phase. So labor is very core, is at the very core of India's growth. So these were much needed reforms, right? Employment in India also recently has shown a remarkable growth. If you have been following the recent PLFS data, so the unemployment rate has also fallen down to 5.2% only as compared to the previous levels, which were higher than that, right? So unemployment has reduced, employment opportunities are being generated, demographic dividend phase is going on. We need to provide skill-based employment opportunities, new skills which are into the market like AI and ML and all. So it was much needed. Also remember this data that if you talk about employment in India, it has shown remarkable growth, rising from 47.5% in 2017-18 to 64.33, sorry, not percent, it is crores, 64.33 crores in 23-24. So we have had a net addition of 16.83 crore jobs in just 6 years. That's a very promising data if we keep on that, right? Remember, 64.33. Also, unemployment rate sharply declined to 3.2%. And women worker participation ratio is also increasing. आपको confuse नहीं होना है इस data से. I would say that you must remember the PLFS data, जो भी unemployment पे है, ठीक है. Now we have a comparison of the labor ecosystem before and after the implementation of the labor codes. तो अगर हम ये देखें जिन labor codes की हम बात कर रहे हैं, when they are implemented, what would be the arena, what would be the scenario? We will compare the pre-labor code scenario and post-implementation, right? What was the situation and what would be the situation? Let's have the comparison here. So this is going to talk about pre-labor reforms, and then we are talking about the post-labor reforms. First of all, first ground is formalization of the employment. In the very initial discussion I told you, one of the very important reason why the government has brought in is it was a very long pending issue, formalization of the economy. It is one of the challenges for Indian economy that more than 80-85% economy is unorganized or informal. So formalization is important. Now if you see the earlier system, there were no mandatory appointment letters. There were no mandatory of offer letters. Some people joined the companies and then got the offer letters later, right? Or say some informal messaging in text. But now, after the implementation, there will be mandatory appointment letters to all the workers. Does not matter which kind of setup you are into. It is mandatory to get an appointment letter. Written proof will ensure transparency, job security and fixed employment, right? Next thing is social security coverage, another very important pillar. Social security coverage. Earlier, it was limited only to only to permanent employees. But now, under the Code on Social Security 2020, one of the codes, all workers, now this is very important to remember, all. Now this all defines what? All would include gig workers, platform workers to get social security coverage. So all means यहाँ पर gig और platform workers भी आ जाएंगे. Now what is gig economy? You must have read and heard about gig workers and gig economy for quite many number of times. So gig workers are basically new kind of jobs, India is right now creating, like freelance jobs, contract based jobs, on demand jobs, है ना. तो जितनी भी ये task based jobs हैं, permanent, अच्छा gig economy का as of now there is no official definition, remember that. कोई ऐसा clear cut official definition नहीं है, but the understanding which has evolved regarding the gig economy, it says that it is a different setup from the traditional one where there was a permanent job kind of relationship between the employer and the employee. Now you don't have that. It can be demand based, it can be product based job, it can be task based job, it can be freelancing jobs, for example content writers, for example some task based developers, right? So this is gig economy, then or gig workers. Then what is the difference between gig worker and a platform worker? Platform worker is a broader term. So every platform worker is a gig worker, but not every gig worker is a platform worker. Let me give an example. आपने अपने घर में कभी plumber बुलाया होगा, right, to fix something. So a plumber operating is a task based job, is a part of gig worker. But if you have called that plumber via a platform, say there's a company like urban company and all, they come for cleaning and all, so cleaning के लिए आते हैं, but आपने एक platform के जरिए उनको call किया है, बोला है काम करने के लिए, so that becomes a platform work. So when gig workers, they are engaged into such kind of economic activities via platforms, it becomes a platform work. That's why I said every platform worker is a gig worker, but not every gig worker is a platform worker. I hope you got that, right? Latest examples, you have delivery boys, the delivery partners working for Swiggy, Zomato, Zepto, Blinkit, etc. They are platform workers because this is a platform via which they are delivering that service, but the nature of the service is gig economy, is of gig economy. So I hope you got that thing, right? So providing social security benefits. अब social security में आपका क्या क्या आता है आपको पता है, provident fund, ESIC coverage, you know, health benefits, medical benefits, maternity benefits, etc. So they will get all these things. After that, very important thing, minimum wages. So before the implementation of these codes, you had minimum wages applied only to scheduled industries, employments, large sections of workers remain uncovered. Minimum wages was restricted or limited to certain industries. But now after this, in the Code on Wages 2019, after the implementation, all workers will receive a statutory right. It would be a legal right. It would be a legal statutory right of minimum wage payment. The minimum wages and timely payment will ensure financial security. और ये decide कौन करेगा? Minimum wages they vary on spatial basis as well. Spatial मतलब temporal and spatial, यानी timely and on the basis of region it varies. Minimum wages in Gujarat might be different from minimum wages in Haryana. Minimum wages in Sikkim might be different from minimum wages in say Kerala. Right? So that would vary, but accordingly, whatever the law is, accordingly you will be provided a statutory right to get the minimum wage, no matter which kind of worker you are. I hope that's clear. Moving ahead. Then we have preventive health care. Earlier, there was no legal requirement for employers to provide free annual health checkups. पहले ऐसा कुछ legally required नहीं था. Now employers must provide all workers above the age of 40 years with a free annual health checkup. जितने भी employers हैं. If you have any employee above the age of 40 years, you have to provide an annual free health checkup. That's for sure. Now this is very good, right? It is a preventive healthcare system. Then timely wages. पहले आपने देखा होगा बहुत सारे लोगों ने इशू फेस किया है. There was no mandatory compliance for employers regarding payment of wages on time. But now there's a mandatory compliance for employers to provide timely wages, ensuring financial stability and reducing distress. You have to provide it timely. You cannot give excuses. That's the clear-cut thing. I think this is going to solve a lot of problems in the Indian labor market, right? I have witnessed all these things happening, so it happens. Next, women workforce participation. Women's employment in night shifts and certain occupations, they were restricted. Abhi government ne bola hai, after the implementation of these codes, women are very free. They are allowed to work in night shifts if it is their consent. So after their consent, there is no restriction. The only thing which is required is proper safety measures plus consent. So women are permitted to work at night shifts in all types of works now, across all establishment. No such restriction, no such bifurcation as well, but subject to their consent and required safety measures. The employer or the establishment has to ensure that you get all the safety measures and safety checks done. And of course, जो equal opportunities की बात है, same salary for same job, does not matter whichever gender you are, is also going to be enforced. Then if we talk about the ESIC coverage, ESIC coverage की अगर हम बात करें तो ESIC coverage पहले limited था notified segments में, है ना, notified areas में, notified industries में, और for such establishments with a fewer than 10 employees were generally excluded. तो ऐसे establishments अगर आपने पुराने labor code पढ़े हैं, right, we have done that in ESI, तो less than 10 employees, they were not provided. And hazardous process units did not have uniform mandatory ESIC coverage. But now, after the implementation, ESIC coverage and benefits are extended pan-India. Does not matter you have less than 10 employees or not, or you have more than 10 employees, right? So pan-India, voluntary for establishments with a fewer than 10 employees, fewer than 10 employees के लिए voluntary है, and mandatory for establishments with even one employee engaged in hazardous process. This is important and I welcome this step. You must do that as well, isn't it? अगर आपने कोई भी एक employee भी ऐसी किसी process में employ किया हुआ है which is hazardous, you need to provide social security coverage. So ESIC would be mandatory in that case. If you are a normal establishment, there's no hazardous component attached to it, you can have a voluntary, ESIC coverage, that's a choice. But it would be mandatory even if you have a single employee in the hazardous process. And social protection coverage will be expanded to all the workers. Next thing we have is compliance burden. Earlier, multiple registrations, licenses and returns across various labor laws were required. Now you have only single registration, pan-India single license and single return. So single registration, single license, single return, no multiple documentation, no multiple compliance burdens. So it would be simplified, very simplified. Because of such cumbersome and lengthy labor laws, people did not know about the labor laws. Now, since the government has consolidated it into 4 codes and also simplifying it very much, people will know all these things, right? It would be easier to comply as well. So this was a comparison जिसमें हमने broadly ये देखा है what will be the benefits after the implementation. Right? Now we will discuss some of the benefits across key sectors like fixed term employees के लिए क्या benefit होगा. Then we will discuss gig and platform workers के लिए क्या benefit होगा. Then we will discuss contract workers के लिए क्या benefit होगा. After that, women workers. So let's start with 1 or 2 and then I'll resume it in the next class. If we look at the fixed term employee, what would be the benefit of these labor codes for the fixed term employees? So first of all, such employees, they will receive all benefits equal to permanent workers. अगर आप एक fixed term, एक contract employee हैं, तब भी आपको वो सारे benefits मिलेंगे जो एक permanent worker को, permanent employee को मिलने चाहिए, including leave, medical and social security. So this is very important. Gratuity के लिए आप eligible होंगे after just 1 year instead of 5 earlier. पहले क्या था? Gratuity के लिए you were eligible after 5 years, right? But now only after 1 year you are eligible for gratuity so that you can get some emergency fund if you need. Then equal wages as permanent staff had increasing income and protection. तो permanent staff के लिए जैसे equal wages का rule था, तो similar would be applicable for fixed term employee as well. And it promotes direct hiring and reduces excessive contractualization. आपको बहुत ज़्यादा contractualization में नहीं घुसना पड़ेगा. You know that all this would be applicable, so you can directly hire them, right? Then if we talk about gig and platform workers, I already told you the difference between gig and platform workers. So here, gig and platform workers, also the aggregators, they have been defined for the first time. As I told you, there is no official definition as of now. But what has been the understanding which has evolved is that it is different from the traditional employer and employee relationship kind of setup. But they are going to define it for the first time officially. And also remember the aggregators. Now, who are these aggregators? Who are these aggregators? These aggregators, they must contribute. Okay, first of all, who are they? Aggregators कौन होते हैं? जो platform provide कर रहे हैं and they are connecting the consumer with the service provider. Examples: Ola, Uber, Rapido, Swiggy, Zomato. These are the aggregators. Why? Ola is a platform which is connecting the driver with the consumer, right? Swiggy is a platform which is connecting the person who is making the food in the cloud kitchen, for example, with the consumer who wants that. So these are aggregators. Now aggregators, they must contribute 1 to 2% of the annual turnover. अब ये इन्होंने मैंडेटरी कर दिया क्योंकि एग्रीगेटर्स को अच्छा खासा रेवेन्यू मिल रहा है ना. So 1 to 2% of the annual turnover, but 5% of the amount paid or payable to gig and platform workers आपको annually contribute करना होगा. The aggregator has to contribute it. So see, this is kind of a benefit, isn't it? Also, Aadhaar linked universal account numbers will make welfare benefits easy to access, fully portable, available across states regardless of migration. एक और चीज इन्होंने यहाँ पर simplify की है. Such kind of benefits, आप दे तो देते हैं, as a government, as central government, as state government, but इनको realizing the benefit becomes different if you are a migrant worker. You are in one state, then you move to another state, they have different set of laws, right? It is difficult to realize the payment. If it is difficult to withdraw the payment, it is difficult to withdraw the benefit, right? But now they have said that there would be Aadhaar linked universal account number, right? So there's just one number which would be required. No matter you are migrating, no matter you are in which corner of India, you will get all those benefits. You can realize, you can transact all those benefits whenever you require. That is going to be a very important feature. Then if you look about the contract workers, so fixed term employees जो हैं, they will increase employability and ensure social security, legal protection इनको दिया जाएगा. तो contract workers का भी हमने देखा, right? They will become eligible for gratuity after 1 year of continuous service. If you have been there into 1 year of continuous service, you are eligible for gratuity as well. Principal employer will provide health benefits and social security benefits to the contract workers as well, not only restricted to the permanent workers. And you will get free annual health checkups as well, like we have discussed. If you have any employee aged above 40 years of age, it is mandatory for you to provide annual health checkup benefit. I think these are very welcome steps, क्योंकि these are much needed reforms जो बहुत पहले हो जाने चाहिए थे इंडियन लेबर मार्केट में, but still it's never late to do the right thing, right? Then if we talk about women workers, gender discrimination legally prohibited. Gender discrimination is now legally prohibited. You cannot discriminate on the gender grounds. Also, there will be equal pay for equal work. If you have the same role, you cannot discriminate between a male and a female employee in terms of the remuneration. Women are permitted to work in night shift across all kind of work, all kind of establishments, given her consent and given that the establishment ensures all the safety measures. Then mandatory women's representation in grievance redressal committee. जो भी आपके ऑफिस में, आपके establishment में grievance redressal committee है, you have to have women representation. That's mandatory. Also, they will add, now this is very important feature, they will add parents-in-law in family definition. So सिर्फ पेरेंट्स ही नहीं, पेरेंट्स इन लॉ भी आप ऐड करेंगे फैमिली डेफिनेशन में, एंड आप एक्सटेंडेड कवरेज प्रोवाइड कराएंगे, सो दैट द वुमेन इज कंप्लीटली सिक्योर्ड. द फ्यूचर ऑफ द वुमेन एंड द फैमिली एंड द डिपेंडेंस ऑन द वुमेन इज कंप्लीटली सिक्योर्ड. I hope that's all clear to you. Now I will be discussing one by one the codes. Like first of all, I will be discussing the Code on Wages 2019, which was last updated on 23rd November 2025. So latest codes we are going to discuss in the next class. So stay tuned for the labor codes. They are going to be very helpful for you in the exam and in the practical life as well. So that's it for today's PIB discussion from 21st November. I will resume from here in the next session. Thank you so much everyone for staying tuned. Have a wonderful day. See you in the next class.